Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 477, and we've got a triple dip this week. I'm Doxu, and I'm joined by Darfox8,
Hello, everybody.
Morgana Santilli,
It's-a me.
and the returning King of Smiles, Seamus2389.
I'm back.
He's smiling, everybody. He's smiling.
We
When
missed
you
you.
said that, you reminded me of I did this, presentation for work like a couple of years ago, and it was recorded, and I rewatched it, and I was like, I'm smiling the whole time in this video. That's very weird. I'm like, is this?
I told you
i-
guys.
Is that what I look like just when I'm around? Is this like? I really want to get a GoPro on my face and be like, what do I actually look like?
It's
Turns out,
not a huge smile, but it's a smirk. You're smirking the entire time.
turns out Seamus is just a joker.
That's I think people think I always look angry. Not even resting bitch face, but my eyebrows are just they kind of go downward, so I feel like I always look kind of grumpy. I'm not generally a grumpy person. So we're all just lying with our faces, basically.
I got one of those faces that cannot hide anything. So, I wear my emotions on my face very clearly, I think.
Well, our faces aside, we've got the whole gang back together for this week's episode. We got a triple dip. We're looking at some manga that came out this year. Very exciting stuff. Hello and welcome if you're a first-time listener to our podcast. We're essentially a book club for manga. We have a huge back catalog. I'm talking about a lot of random manga. And yes, today we are streaming our recording session live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. And we got our buddy Cliff in the chat. Hey, Cliff.
Welcome back, Cliff. It's been
Thanks
a
for
minute.
joining us. Yep. Okay, Dar, now is the time to pull up our coffee because I want to remind people if they want to help support our podcast, you can buy us a coffee. Head over to Sorry, I was joking. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. And that is our coffee page. And if you have contributed to the Darfox Still 2 Handsome Fund, that has been completed. So I want to thank...
in fact, still too handsome.
Yes. So we have... I want to thank our contributors, The Luid, Vicky Dalton, Mia, Dr. Melface, White, Poor Mexican 72, Philip, Liquidus002, and Xteen. Thank you so much for keeping Darfox too handsome. And I finally updated our coffee, which I haven't updated in over a year. But we have a new goal, an actual goal for next year, for 2024. We're going to try and do a retrospective on Ooku, the Inner Chambers.
Yes.
We're going to force Morgana and Darfox to remember a bunch of Japanese shogun names and history.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Old English for the first few volumes.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
Seamus
the
and I are
weirdest.
going to suffer through that again.
I don't know if it'll ever entirely go away, or did it just rein it in a bit?
Fun fact. Before I started working at Kamakopi, before I met the people who worked there, I shopped there, and Oku was one of the books that I bought when I was there. So I've only read the first couple volumes, but Oku is pretty special. Fumi Yoshinaga is pretty special.
It is. It's going to be a huge endeavor to read all of that and then explain it and make sense of it because it's so tied with history. I'm going to have to do a lot of work, but I want to do it. But yeah, we could use help buying all the volumes, so we have set a new coffee goal of $175. So please, if you enjoy our podcast and you enjoy what we do, please consider buying us a coffee. It will go toward that retrospective. When that is filled up, we will definitely be planning on starting that Oku retrospective. Darfox, you're on cam now.
Yes, I'm on cam. I got my new lightning So a little bit darker, but less washed out than usual.
It's got a nice
Moody.
warm look.
Yeah, it's for me. It's a little too bright. I'm just staring at these giants lights. But it's okay. It's nice and diffused. So now I just need to go full streamer and get like some weird neon signs behind me or some crazy like stick lights.
It's all coming together, Darfox.
It's very romantic.
Yes.
Very mood lighting. We need to get you a glass of wine or a wine glass full of Four Loko.
You could be like a goth streamer or something.
I have a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and next to it, I have a bottle of Cholula hot sauce. I gotta be careful which one I drink.
I don't want to know why the hot sauce is there.
I was eating pizza earlier, and I put some hot sauce on the pizza.
Okay, and you left it there.
I left it there.
Okay, well, besides Darfox's nice mood lighting, how is everyone else doing? Morgana, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm tired. My baby's bad at sleeping. It's
Oh,
getting
no.
better, but there was like he was actually okay for a while, like waking up once a night, which is for a baby pretty good. But a few weeks ago, like around Thanksgiving, suddenly he was like terrible at sleeping, and there was one night like last week, I think he woke up every hour starting at midnight, and it was just I'm not sleeping well, guys. Last night was a lot better. We determined that he's probably just really cold because you can't like put blankets on him, and so you just kind of have to bundle babies up as much as you can. So we just put a space heater in the room. It's extra warm in there. It's like 75 degrees. Whereas like our bedroom, I think we sleep it's like 62 because I don't like sleeping in the heat. But hopefully, yeah. So that's where we're at. We're real tired. we're making it. We're getting through.
Sorry to hear that, Morgana. We should ask how Seamus is. He's back from Ireland. Seamus, how was your trip?
The trip was good.
You were by the riots or something that was happening over there?
I wasn't by them, but I happened to like go up to Dublin the night they happened. And where I was staying with a friend of mine wasn't too far from where it would have. Well, there was a stabbing, and then that led to the riots.
Right.
Where the stabbing happened was actually fairly close to where, well, not fairly close, but like, I don't know, 15, 20-minute walk.
That's some scary stuff.
I saw the headlines and I was like, isn't Seamus in Dublin or really close to Dublin? So I was immediately like,
I was like, I was in a pub with a few people before, and I was like, yeah, that's on the other side of O'Connell Street. Like, who cares?
All right then.
Dar is like my grandmother. When the Boston Marathon bombing happened, I was living in Western Massachusetts on the opposite side of Boston, and my grandmother was like, "Are you okay? Are you safe?" I'm like, "Dude, Boston is like 2 hours away. Like, what are you talking about?" But she has no sense of like where things are in relation to each other. I was like, That's nowhere near me. Interestingly enough, Kamakopia is very close to where there's now like the Boston Strong sign on the bridge. So, but yes, I'm glad you're safe, Seamus.
Yeah, we all are. Hey, we have some...
Seamus would have been okay. He wouldn't know. I don't think Seamus would have been in trouble.
Yeah,
Of
no,
course.
they'd be like, this lad is clearly Irish. He's not an immigrant.
Yeah, it was like anti-immigrant, like right. That's what it was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to say hi to new people in the chat. Tyler's there, so is Chris from Canada. Chris wants to know, Chris didn't know there are riots in Ireland. Are there riots in Ireland? Or there were riots in Ireland?
There was, I think it was Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving, that day.
Yep. I had a crazy week.
Yeah, he did.
The hosts know this, but the stairs leading out of our rental collapsed. How do I explain this? We rent out a place that's like the lower extension on a place. So a lot of houses in this area do that. I'm trying to recall the events of what happened. Okay, so first what happened was the stairs were already kind of old and rickety. They're like L-shaped, so you go down one set and then you make a turn and then you go down the next set, and that leads to the hallway where our rental is. But what happened was my father-in-law was bringing down a crazy Christmas tree, and he busted the railing on the lower half. And so that railing was like broke and not great. That happened like Saturday, and then our landlord above hadn't like sent somebody out to fix it or whatever. But I guess like the railing was like really part of the stability. And so what happened was Tuesday late night, my wife was taking the dog out for a walk right before bed. And as she was going up the lower half of the stairs, they fell and collapsed. Luckily, my wife did not impale herself on wood or break her ankles or anything. She did get bruised a little. And the dog was also safe. The dog made it to the middle part where the turn is. And so the dog was also safe. But yeah, the hosts have seen some pictures. And maybe I'll post them in the Discord, but it looked pretty crazy. It looked pretty crazy. It's not like the highest height from where the middle is. I would say maybe like 6 feet of a drop. But
From the very top, it would be like 6 feet.
Yeah, of the middle location. So it's not the highest, but you don't want to be walking upstairs and then just collapse while you're walking up them. That's scary.
No, it's super easy to like twist an ankle or something like that. So I'm glad nothing happened like that.
Yeah, nothing serious though. Her bruises are hurting more, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so luckily what happened was there were some contractors that came out, and they've rebuilt the stairs now. They still need to be painted. So that's all set. Let me tell you, it was real interesting having to try to lift the dog up to the middle section, and then like there was like a there was a ladder attached to the middle as our temporary way to get out, because that's the only way to leave. Like, there's no other way. Like, we're fenced in on all sides, basically. You can't leave from the bottom. The other set of stairs on the other side were already falling apart. So, we were essentially stuck indoors, and it was some wild shit. But I'm okay. And my wife is okay, and the dog is okay. So it's all good.
And you get a brand new set of stairs out of it.
Yeah, the new stairs are like so much more secure than like the other half of the stairs that still remain.
I love it. It's always sad that it requires the last one to just literally fall apart for something new to get put in.
Yeah, I would like, honestly, it was a combination of things, like the handrail breaking and then like it being old to begin with. So
We need to talk about that Christmas tree, though, Dakazu. That's the real elephant in the room, quite literally.
Okay, yeah. So my father-in-law loves Christmas. He loves Christmas. And last year we had like a 7-foot tree. And it was smaller than he usually gets. And I think he was a little like, he wanted more. So he got a 9-foot tree, and that's why. And he tried to carry it. He was carrying it down the stairs by himself, which is like the crazy thing. Morgana, when we were recording last week's podcast with Jocelyn, that's when it happened.
Oh, jeez.
So I wasn't there like to help or anything because I was doing a podcast, and yeah, and so the 9-foot tree does not match because our ceiling is 8 foot. So he had to cut the foot off the top, and it looks like the tree is like it's going through the ceiling.
It's like glitching through the ceiling in like a video game.
It's some wild stuff. Wild stuff. So yeah, just want to give some updates on all of us. We did get an email from Chris right before we started recording, but Chris, we're gonna say that for next week. I want to give updates. I want to hear from Seamus, and that'll be our little preamble before we get into our next section.
Oh, there is one thing, because I think it was whatever the episode where you came back and you're like, yeah, Seamus never mentioned meeting you. Because I did mean to ask this from Morgana and Dara when you met for the first time. Was it weird hearing the other person's voice out of their actual mouth and not a headphone set for like 20 minutes, half an hour? Because like if I met Dakazu, I was just like, It's very weird, actually, like hearing his voice coming from his actual body and not a headset after like 10 years.
Interesting. No,
Yeah, I didn't get that much from Morgana.
I felt like you sound more or less the way you sound in person.
Although Morgana got to hear a lot more of me because I was on that panel. So maybe it wasn't that different because I was coming through the speakers of the panel.
That's true. That's true. I mean, we
Yeah.
did talk a little bit, like
Yeah,
face to face.
yeah. We got a few good minutes of like chat time, but unfortunately, like that was it.
I like. I walked into the room and he was sitting at the end of the table where all the panelists sit, and I just like ran right up to him like, "Hi, Darva!"
Yeah, it was a little bit of like a surprise attack. It was like, oh, Morgana's here now. I was still trying to get my wits about me because of the whole like messed up leg stuff going on with me.
Yeah, he like tried to get up, like, sit down, I'll hug you like this, it's fine.
I mean, it's probably less jarring because we've seen Dar on cam a lot, and Morgana, we know your face. I
That's true.
don't show my face in public, so the
but we
hosts have
know.
seen me. Yeah, they have seen me. So
I don't know, was it that? Because it was like, I don't know, like I've seen pictures of you before, and your voice sounded the exact same. It was just very weird being like, oh, he's actually here now in the room with me.
it's funny because Seamus walked past me to the restaurant, and then I recognized his red hair. I'm like, that's Seamus, and then he turned around, and yeah,
Yeah, it is interesting how for so long our voices are just more so like Doc Zoo and Seamus. I guess I've been showing my face for a while, but the voices have been disembodied, you know, noises inside our heads for like a decade.
over a decade. Yeah.
Oh,
Lazy.
sorry, I was gonna say at the risk of stereotyping Seamus, I don't know if you have any strong feelings about the Pogues, but Shane McGowan passed away. I don't know if this was something that was very sad to me. I have no idea if you have any specific feelings about it being Irish.
Not really. I wouldn't really have
No.
listened to their music much or anything.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I love the Pogues. I was reading his Wikipedia page, and he was like, yeah, being in the Pogues is my way of like making up for the fact that I was too much of a coward to be in the IRA. It's like cool.
That's funny.
But yeah, he's apparently he was a really cool dude. But I had strong feelings about it, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I know he, a lot of he was a very prominent Irish musician anyway, but I'm sad about it.
Okay, let's move along to our first segment. What you been reading? Or in this case, I guess it's what you been watching with Darfox and Seamus.
Whoa. Yeah, independently, we went to go see The Boy and the Heron, the new Hayao Miyazaki film. In theaters now, and this was the movie that, when released in Japan, was not released with any promotional material. There was no trailer, no nothing, just that poster of the Heron character. And maybe that set me up to think that there was something mystical about this movie, but it's this and this is gonna sound like it's really negative, but there's really nothing special about this movie. This isn't a movie that like benefits you having zero context going in. It's just another Hayao Miyazaki film, and I know that it sounds weird for me to just express that as like just another one of those. Obviously, he's a huge filmmaker, and all his movies are instant classics. But I don't know if I'll call this one instant classic. I'm willing to be out in the fringe of this. I'm willing to be like wrong about this in the public eye. I thought the movie was okay. It was a good time. I'm glad I watched it. It still has amazing animation and all like the detailed animation for the characters. Where those films aren't afraid to be quiet and not have a lot of dialogue and just let you watch the characters run around and do stuff. Just that quality is still in this film. So all of the stuff you like about Hayao Miyazaki is in this film. It just wasn't anything special. I say that again. and I don't know if this is certain expectations playing into it for me. Wanting something truly great. And I've turned around Miyazaki films in the past. Like the first time I saw Howl's Moving Castle, I didn't think it was anything special. But having rewatched it, I do think that movie's pretty special, and I really like the score in that movie. And I think Howl's Moving Castle is probably his best looking film. Period. I think it's like just like the most beautiful movie ever. It's like it's up there. Um, this movie isn't that, I don't think. Um, but yeah, it's one of those situations where if you care at all about animation or Studio Ghibli or Hayao Miyazaki, make time to watch it. If you don't really care about that stuff, I say it's kind of fine if you skip it. Seamus, I don't know what are your opinions about it.
What did I think about it? I thought up until, I don't know, the first 3/4 of the movie, I liked it quite a bit. When it was just him traveling, I don't know, like the whole bit where he's like out in the whatever, wherever they ended up outside Tokyo, and then they go to like the whatever fantasy realm and they're traveling through and all that shit happens. And then when he meets his uncle and it's like, okay, now we've got to like address some plot stuff. I was like, all right, I've stopped caring now. This movie can be over.
Yeah. So generally, I saw it with Amber and a couple of my friends and coworkers, and Amber and we actually recorded a YouTube video for it. So if you want to hear more, talk about the film and just talk about specific scenes and stuff, we're gonna have a YouTube video. I'm hoping to have it out tomorrow. I already started working on it. There's not much I need to do with it. So if you want more Boy in the Heron, check out youtube.com/mangamactv. But both Amber and we kind of felt like the first part of the film that took place in the real world was really slow. Kind of not much going on. There is stuff going on. It's like you're learning kind of how the main character, the boy, deals with stuff and processes emotions, and you're learning a lot. But it's just one of those movies that isn't giving you much, and you just have to kind of, I guess you get what you invest out of it. And then at a certain point in the film, there is magical fantasy stuff that starts happening. And that stuff is pretty fun and inventive at times. But even then, I felt like some of the they could have gone further, or they could have explored further. I really like the bit. I'll talk in vague terms. So Seamus knows what I'm talking about. There's that bit with all of those like semi-translucent men waiting around for the fish to get like filleted. Like that stuff was really crazy looking and kind of spooky and like very evocative of like an afterworld and afterlife. It just made the whole fantasy world seem like it had its own like economy or its own like needs and wants. That was really interesting, and I felt like the film didn't really have that much of that. The thing the film did have a lot of was birds that are jerks. I like this film mostly because it understands that birds suck. I don't like birds, and every single bird in this movie is a piece of shit. Like every single bird in this movie, it's a piece of, for different reasons. Some of them are like in the film there's the heron, of course, and them just pelicans. The pelicans are kind of like fucked up because they were taken from their natural habitat, so like they have no choice but to do bad stuff, kind of thing. And then just parakeets, and the parakeets are just total dog shit assholes, and they're dumbasses too. So I'm a big fan of way this movie like slanders birds. I'm not like, don't talk to me if you like birds. Is basically what I'm saying.
All right.
Severina wants to say something here. Talk right in here. Say hi.
Oh no!
She's been sitting in my lap. I have the stream on. She's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my friend Darfox." She's like, "Hi." I'm like, "He can't hear you."
Cute.
She's still watching.
She's watching, yeah. Although it's a little slower than. Oh yeah, look, you wave. She's waving back.
Adorable. And totally not playing for audio format of our podcast.
No, definitely not. It's fine, but
It's fine.
I hope
Yeah.
Sabrina doesn't like birds.
She's pretty into everything, but she loves Miyazaki. So I had been wondering if we'd take her to see this one, but I think it's going to be a little while before she goes for this one. But you're talking about fish and translucent people, and I was thinking about it. Reminded me of Lou Over the Wall. Where's that whole scene with like the fish dude who's like making fish?
Yes.
It's like very weird.
Darfox, I have a question for you and Seamus.
Yes. What question?
Was this film nonsense?
Not really. No, I mean it's kind of straightforward, really.
I can't believe you're calling my dad a liar.
I was going to say, so I watched it with Wyatt, and actually he was like, what happened to that movie? I don't know, he went to some fancy lens, and like he met he was like, this is what I thought happened. I was like, yeah, that's what happened, and then there was a bunch of fancy stuff. That, I don't know. Actually, I think there's like a very long post written by, let me look up the name.
Oh, quickly, Dar, you saw it dubbed, right? You saw the English?
Correct. Good dub. A lot of great actors. I love Dave Bautista in the dub. He's great.
Yeah, I saw Willem Dafoe's in it.
Yes, Willem Dafoe and Dave Bautista are only there for like 2 minutes, but they do really good jobs. Robert Pattinson does a really good job. Does not sound like Robert Pattinson at all. He plays the titular Heron. He just sounds like a weird creature. I'm like, oh, that's Robert Pattinson. Cool, good job.
Wild.
Did you see a sub, Seamus?
I saw it subbed, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish I did, but I'm fine with the dub. It is what it is.
I'm trying to find this person's name now. It's quite a long post, but the whole thing, I only started reading it, but it's like going through like all EHOBA or SHTGOIW. But they were listing out like all like they were taking the like specific imagery and all this stuff. I only started reading it, but it's very like interesting kind of going through it. But yeah, I thought it was like the first 2 or 3 thirds of it, I was like really on board, and then once it was like, I now need to wrap it up, I'm like, oh, okay, this is the wrap up part. It reminded me of what's that movie, Drive. Actually, there's a few movies like this where it's like up to a certain point, it's like this is great, and then it's like, oh well, we've got to like bring in some plot now and like finish this whole thing off, and it's like, all right, well, how you finish it off is way more boring than like how you were like running away all along. Plus, I don't know, was he like doing some commentary? I was like, is he like making a dig at his son at one point?
I mean, the Japanese title of this movie is "How Do You Live?" So maybe.
I feel like he's always giving Goro shit.
There's just like one bit where it's like the uncle is like, oh, I want you to. I don't know, the main guy's grand uncle is like, oh, I want you to take over like maintaining this world. Like I don't know, old or whatever. And I was like, yeah, fuck that, I'm leaving. So like, all I could think of was because they were showing like clips of what was the documentary, Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. I can't remember, there was some bit like in that with the son where you're just like, yeah, if you aren't Miyazaki's son, there's no way you're making movies here. Is the impression I'm getting. Nah, fuck off.
And even if you are Miyazaki's son, you're not making movies there until the man dies.
Yep.
No, I kind of want to nearly go back and watch his other movies. It's just like the thing with those like dead men remind me a bit of Spirited Away, and I'm wondering like how much. This is one of those movies where you see, I don't know, there's a Chinese guy did something similar movie years ago where it's like, if you like go back and watch everything else they've done, you can see like how much they're almost like making this movie as a reflection on their career and like all the stuff they've done before.
You know, it's funny. So like I said, my daughter likes the Miyazaki movies, and we've watched Spirited Away a bunch recently, and I don't like it that much. Which isn't to say it's not a good movie, but like in context of all the other ones, like it was the one that got hot when it was when it was new and it won the award, the Oscar or whatever. I don't think it's even close to one of my favorites. I don't care much about the characters or the story. But meanwhile we're watching like Kiki and Totoro is one that I was like, oh, this is really for little kids, I don't really care. And as I watch it more now, I really I feel more strongly about it. It's like value as a film, but Spirited Away is not. It's fine. It's
Totally
beautiful.
agree with you, Morgana.
It's
Totally agree.
gorgeous. It's beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of that's good about it, but it's just not. It's not Porco Rosso, okay?
Porco Rosso is great. My brother loves that movie.
It's so good.
He dressed as Porco Rosso for Halloween.
I loved it. I loved his costume. I saw that.
My favorite Miyazaki movie is Princess Mononoke.
That's an excellent one.
And
That
I like the English dub more.
really, that's fascinating. When I was a kid, so I had borrowed Kiki and Totoro from the library when I was really little. Not really, anime wasn't a thing yet, so to speak, in the north, the West, North America. And then like a few years later, I was at Blockbuster and we were renting a movie, and I saw Princess Mononoke, and I was like, oh, it's the guy who did Totoro and Kiki. It looks like that. I'll get this. And like the first scene, Ashitaka like shoots some guy's arms off with his bow
Yeah,
and
they go
arrow.
flying.
Yeah.
And
There's
I'm
no
like,
blood, but yeah, it's violent.
I was like 9 or 10, and I was like, oh, this is not like Kiki. It's an excellent movie, though. I love Princess Mononoke. Kiki is my favorite, kind of. Although I've watched it a lot now, I may be a little tired of it, but I don't like Nausicaa very much either. I love the Nausicaa manga. I don't like the Nausicaa film.
Nausicaa film is okay, but it's missing the rest of the Nausicaa story, so it's
Yeah.
not quite as good.
I always felt like it was a watered-down Princess Mononoke.
Yeah. Dar, you have a favorite Ghibli film?
It's Porco.
Porco Rosso.
It's definitely Porco Rosso.
Rather be a pig than a fascist.
Best line. Seamus, you got a favorite Ghibli movie?
No, not that I can think of. It's so long since I've seen them. I don't know what to think of them now.
Okay.
I want to mention also not a Hayao Miyazaki movie, but Pompoko is excellent.
It is. We watched it for the podcast. Yeah.
It's excellent. I love Pompoko.
Yeah, I like that one too. That was one of the ones that plays a lot with tone because it's really a huge tragedy, but it's also a goofy fun time,
The dub is hysterical though, because tanuki are not a thing in English. Well, kind of. And also there's the whole issue with the scrotum.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And how they kind of circumnavigate that.
Oh yeah, they call them pouches.
Yeah, yeah.
My pouch.
It's your balls. Okay. Anything else about the Boy and the Heron that you want to mention, Dar and Seamus?
We know a lot of Miyazaki films are kind of autobiographical. Some of them much more so than others. Like The Wind Rises was very like autobiographical for him. I'd be curious to read some like thoughts and readings on that for this film.
Well, I think him and his family did move out of Tokyo at some point during the war. And the guy's father in this is a plane manufacturer.
Right.
Goddamn planes.
Yeah, we don't see the plane, but we see parts of the plane. That was enough for him to get his rocks off.
Was there an underlying environmentalist theme or not? Oh yeah, you said there was something about the pelicans having land issues.
Yeah, there's definitely some that you could read into it. It's less overt than some of the other films, especially stuff like Totoro and Princess Mononoke, which is very overt. But yeah, there's definitely some of that in there.
Nice. Well, I'll definitely watch it sometime in the future. Probably not in the movie theaters, but I want to have a discussion with my dad about what was nonsense, so. I'll let him know what you said, Darfox.
I said the movie's not nonsense, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Maybe the logic of the world is, I can see why you think that would be nonsensical.
Yeah, because they go to a fantastic world where they're like, "Don't touch that. That thing's made of kill you material. You touch it, it kills you." You know, there's that stuff in the movie.
Okay.
Maybe that's what he meant. It's nonsense.
I don't know. He wouldn't explain it. He was just like, it's nonsense. It
He
didn't
was
make
just-
any sense. I was like, okay, Dad, sure.
He was just David Lynch. Can you elaborate on that? Like, no, I can't.
Okay, let's move along. Oh, unless you have anything else, Dar.
Moi noir.
Okay, Seamus, you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Morgana, I want to talk to you about Kimi ni Todoke from
Yes,
Mirayu.
yes. Let's do it.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago we had our Shoujo Showdown, where we read the first volume of Kimi ni Todoke, and I said I loved it, and I did not read past the first volume, and I said I will read this whole thing. And 3 days later, I had read all 30 volumes. And so, Dar, we're going to talk about some spoilers. So I'll timestamp this in our show notes, of course. So if you don't want to hear this, but I will get into some spoilers. So Dar was going to put a message up on our stream as well. Make sure that people know I'm going to be talking about spoilers for Kimi ni Todoke. That's huge. That's great, Dar. Morgana, so during our Shoujo Showdown, you said you're interested to hear what I have to say because there are things that happen in this series that you think kind of turn some stereotypical cliches of like the shoujo genre, you know, the romantic comedy, or maybe just comedy, or romance, on its head, or it subverts them, I think is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should I guess what I think you were talking about? I guess.
Yeah,
Or-
so I want to preface this by saying it's been a while since I read this series, so there are a couple things I'm thinking of, but there may or may not be other things. But yes, go ahead.
I can
Yes.
only think of like two things. And one is there is a romance storyline between a student and a teacher.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yes, that's the major one I was thinking of. Also, like, at the end of the first volume, you kind of get this setup that
The rival girl.
the rival, yeah, they're going to be like enemies, but she ends up being friends with them.
Okay.
That was another like kind of not a huge subversion. I think that happens a lot, but it was
Yeah, the
you know.
rival girl eventually, you know, befriending or like getting closer with like, you know, the main character, or like, yeah, they amend and they make up and everything happens. I feel I've seen that before. So the romance between the teacher and the student, is it the fact that at the end the teacher is just like, no, we're not going to
Yep.
pursue this?
Love Pin. He's pretty good. He does a lot of that kind of like, you know, I'm one of the kids because I grew up with these kids, but also I need to learn to be an adult. And I kind of appreciate him like drawing that line and being like, no, this is not appropriate. That doesn't fucking happen in manga.
I've definitely seen it happen more where, you know, she's gonna graduate and then like in the future they're together. Yeah. But yeah, not in this series. In Kimi no Todoke, it gets to the point where the student confesses to the teacher and the teacher is like, no. So okay. Cause I like after I finished it, I was like, I think it's the teacher plot line, but
Yeah,
that
'cause
also
when-
isn't like the craziest subversion I've seen, or like the biggest one. So
when that like arc started with her, I was really concerned because I was really enjoying the manga, and I'm like, oh please don't make this weird for me. But I was really pleasantly surprised, and again, I haven't really seen that happen in other shoujo manga. Usually, it is it's like, oh, later it'll happen, or like age is just a number.
okay. I will tell you, I enjoyed the whole thing, but maybe my enjoyment was not quite as high after the first volume. Because it did go for a long time, and then
Yes.
basically halfway through, they move away from Sawako and her relationship with the guy, because that comes true pretty early. And then, like, it's like, well, let's focus on the other girls. And, you know, we saw that coming. But then, like, they become way more of a focus, and she becomes kind of a background character. And it's not bad, but, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Sawako is best girl.
She is.
She's wonderful. And I told you, I just love characters like her, kind of earnest nerds.
I love her parents.
Yes, yeah, I really like her parents too.
Yeah, the dad being all like, oh, I don't know, and the mom just being so sure of everything. She's like, calm the fuck down. It's fine. So yeah. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I can, I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Oh, you know what? I forget the character's name because I'm terrible with names. But and also I read this like last week, so my memory's already gone. I did like the relationship between one of the friends and then the flirty guy, the playboy. He was a good character. I liked him a lot.
Oh yes, I do vaguely remember it. Again, it's been even longer since I've read it, so I remember loving, and that's I think one of the things about this series that's really strong is the characters. Like, they're pretty distinct from each other. I like Sawako's friends, again, whose names I can't even remember. You know, you got the babe and the tomboy, and they're just so much fun, and they have like their own goals and stories. And you're right, like it's not as engaging when we move away from Sawako, because usually in a series like this that goes for 30 volumes, it would be that slow burn on the main relationship for like 25 of them, right?
Yes, and that around volume 10, it's resolved, and then it moves on to a different step of the relationship. You know, it doesn't end when they get together, because, you know, that's just the start of their relationship. It then goes through some issues like as they date each other, and like,
yes,
and I think that's realistic and good. You know,
yeah,
it made sense.
Yeah, it's another thing I like about it, is that it's not just like, and then they lived happily ever after. Like, they're happy, and they're learning how to be in a relationship, and they're learning how to be friends with everybody, and it's very wholesome. It's a very wholesome series.
Yes, that still stands, and yeah, I'm really glad you recommended it, and I got to read the entire thing. It was very nice.
I am really glad that you enjoyed it. It's, you know, there's some really great shoujo series out there, and I feel like they deserve more readers. So if you want a wholesome, long-running series, Kimi ni Todoke is all on the Viz app.
Yes, very convenient to read for like a cheap subscription, so that's very good. Highly recommend it. Okay. I have some other stuff, but we want to keep the first segment pretty short, so I think we'll cut it here. Morgana, you don't have anything else, right?
No. I could talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie, but all you need to know is it's fine. My daughter liked it. Her little preschool friends have seen it. I was asking her if she wanted to watch it, and she was telling me all about Mario and Luigi and Donkey Kong, and I'm like, where the hell how have you heard about these characters? We have not had this discussion. I mean, she knows who Mario is, but like, it was pretty funny.
That's gonna happen more and more.
Yeah, today we went grocery shopping, and she wanted to buy the Paw Patrol yogurt, even though she has not seen Paw Patrol, and we will not allow her to watch Paw Patrol. She doesn't need preschooler propaganda, thanks. I feel really strongly, like weirdly strong about this, but
you know they're gonna like watch that at school and stuff, though.
Well, you know, and her friends like it, so she knows about it, but you know, whatever. They also, I learned this week that they learned and were practicing saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And this, like, fire lit in my brain that was like, we need to deprogram her immediately.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be ending What You Been Reading. Before we get to our main segment, I want to talk about next week. Next week, Seamus will be out because he has a birthday party you're going to, Seamus?
Correct.
Okay, so Seamus will be partying it up. But that means Morgana, Darfox, and I will have to hold everything down. And, we're in December. We're getting ready for the Manga Mac Awards. That'll be coming in 2 weeks. But before that, we're going to round out with something a little lighthearted. We are going to read The Right Way to Make Jump. I've talked about this manga before, but it is done by Takeshi Sakurai. And he's someone who did not succeed in making a manga series. He ended up giving up the manga life and decided to become a rice ball, like bento place. And then he gets a call from his former editors, like, hey, we're going to make this like kind of documentary series about how Weekly Shonen Jump is made. Like, what is the process? What are the different like facilities used to actually print everything? And yeah, it's a manga series that is on the Shonen Jump app. It is 30 chapters, and I've read it before. It's pretty good. It's going to be interesting to hear Darfox and Morgana's read on how much you think this is the Shueisha propaganda machine.
100%.
Yeah, I don't need to read it. I feel like I know that.
We're going to read it anyway.
I know. I want to read it, but I could tell you my opinion already.
Yeah, and so we'll be looking at this series, The Right Way to Make Jump by Takeshi Sakurai. It's 30 chapters on the Shonen Jump app, like I said, and we'll be talking about that next week. Okay, everybody, we're going to put the stream down for a bit, and after a break, we are going to come back and do our last triple dip of 2023. Stay tuned. Okay, everyone, we are back. Time for the final triple dip of 2023. We're doing some cleanup with some releases of manga that we're interested in that came out this year. For this triple dip, we're talking about Under Ninja, Innocent, and Orb on the Movements of the Earth.
Orb.
That's a Games Done Quick reference, right?
Yes.
How did that start?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Whenever someone says orb, all the audience members scream orb.
Or whenever there's an orb on screen.
Yeah, they're like orb.
Or yeah, one of the many memes
Wacky.
that
Yeah.
wears out its welcome eventually, and people turn on it because it can get annoying.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we have these 3 books. Under Ninja is 1 volume. Innocent is an omnibus, and it was 3 volumes. And Orb was a double volume omnibus. So quite the sizable chunk if you read everything. I'm gonna let Seamus pick the first book because he's been gone for a while. Seamus, what shall we start with?
Under Ninja.
Okay, we are starting with Under Ninja.
One of these things is not like the other.
Right?
The current manga series by Kengo Hanazawa. He's the manga artist behind I Am a Hero, which is a very well-known zombie manga. We actually did a whole retrospective on I Am a Hero for this podcast.
A Manga Mac fave there for a while.
Mm-hmm. So, Under Ninja by Kengo Hanazawa.
Why'd you say for a while there, Darren? Do you have a feeling if you went back to it now, your opinion might be so high?
No, I think that the I think by
I think
the
he's
end
talking
of it,
about specific things that were happening toward the end that I was complaining about.
Yeah, no, by the end of it, it was
we'll get into it.
Kind of sketchy.
We'll get into it. So, Under Ninja is running in Young Magazine, put out by Kodansha. It's their seinen magazine. It started in 2018 and is ongoing right now. It is released in English from Dempa. Now, Dempa doesn't have a listing of Under Ninja on their website, and I don't know why.
Sorry, Ed, but that website is terrible.
Oh,
The Denpa website is a mess. It is so hard to find what you're looking for.
yeah. But let's see. Volume 1 came out last year? Yeah, it came out last year, but it is, and it was only physical for a while, but now is digital, so that is why we are able to read it for this podcast. Let me go through some localization credits. The translator is Sheldon Durzka. Proofreading by Patrick Sutton. And production by Glenn Issip, Nicole Dolchek, Anthony Quintensenza. And digital is Taniel Vatanen. I'm sure I butchered all those names. I'm so sorry. Let's see. The website does not have... I can't find the listing on the website, so I'm going to read the back of the book for the copy. The original Special Defense Forces. Ninjas enjoyed glory in the Japan of bygone times. They disappeared when their organizations were dissolved during the country's Allied occupation of Japan. However, their existence continued in secret. Some say that their ranks numbered 200,000 members. Among these, elite ninjas covertly dealt with crises at a national level. On the other hand, marginal members found work hard to come by. One of these ninjas between jobs was Kuro Kumogakure. There you go. That's a copy talking about the setup. I picked the 3 books for this triple dip, but I picked each one with one person in mind. For this book, does this surprise anyone that I picked this for Darfox?
Well, no, because I think you picked Innocent for me and Orb for Seamus, so...
That is correct. That is what I did.
Just by drawing lots here.
It makes sense because like this triple dip is like if 2 sophisticated friends went to like the orchestra with their gamer friend, and the gamer friend just went with slacks and like sweats, and everybody else was dressed up. That is his triple dip.
Interesting. Well, Darfox, I want to hear what your thoughts on Under Ninja was. Oh, I should also mention before that, there is an anime of Under Ninja on Crunchyroll right now. But yeah, Darfox, go ahead.
Kind of a very slow start. Kind of enjoyable in the way that Kengo Hanazawa does. Weird, aimless characters with weird ideas about a lot of other stuff. And similar to the very beginning of I Am a Hero. You don't really know what's going on. You're kind of waiting for something to happen, and the whole first volume goes by and nothing really happens. But the difference is that I Am a Hero, it was a more traditional build. To spoilers, zombie apocalypse. That's what I Am a Hero is about. It was just basically an aimless character doing stuff, and in the background, the zombie apocalypse was building up until it finally explodes in the beginning of the second chapter, or second volume, excuse me. Whereas this one, there isn't a clear notion to what it's building to. You know, there's multiple parties maybe vying for power. We don't really know what side of it the main character is going to fall under. He's just a ninja guy, and he gets a cool new suit at the end, and that's all that really happens. Besides, like, a bunch of like weird, inappropriate humor.
Well, he has a mission to stop the guy cutting off dicks.
Does he though?
Yeah.
if you say so.
Did you not like this, Star?
I thought I liked the fine. It wasn't as good as the beginning of I Am a Hero, which is a little bit more straightforward. Even though it didn't keep it really kept a lot of information from you. Um, this one was just kind of whatever.
Kind of whatever. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still like the stuff about the character design, the perspective shots that Keiko Hanazawa does. Um, the the characters themselves seem like they could be interesting, um, and funny and weird, but there wasn't enough of that. I feel like, you know,
There wasn't enough of that? Interesting, considering there's so much on Ono. And what was it? The lady who lives downstairs, Kawado?
right? But like, it wasn't really leading to anything. Everything in I Am a Hero was kind of leading. Like I Am a Hero had like momentum in the very beginning, um, until that huge explosion. Um, Maybe this is just a different manga. That's fine. Doesn't have to have the exact same structure. Um, but it's just like the aimlessness of it just felt kind of anticlimactic.
Interesting. Let's quickly turn to Seamus. Seamus, you also read I'm a Hero for this podcast. We read through the whole thing. I remember you relatively liking it. So, what did you think looking at this new Kengo Hanazawa manga?
What did I think? I don't know. It was kind of just boring.
That is literally 100% what I was gonna say. I was bored.
Like, okay, yeah, guy's gonna cut off some dicks, grand, yeah. Oh, he's got an invisible suit. Yeah, that's great. All I could think of was, and they were like, "Oh, this is like whatever. It's a version 4.0 suit. Everyone's only got 3.5," and I was like I don't know, someone's describing like the difference between cars. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm sure that's interesting to you, but to be honest, I don't give a shit."
All right.
Yeah, like
More-
that's a good example. Like that reveal was missing a lot of components to it. Um, that reveal was missing like the stakes as to why it'd be interesting that he has a more advanced suit. It'd be like it's not like he's a underdog character who like I mean technically he's an underdog character, but like it's not like he's been he's like Naruto, where he like Naruto got the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and suddenly he was hot shit because he had like an ability that other people didn't have, right? Which is actually making actual clones, something that his peers couldn't do, um, and that like that hits in Naruto because it's like it's a tangible difference for this character. Um, Here like we don't know why it matters that he has like that more advanced suit. It didn't really, it was a poor end of volume stinger, you know what I'm saying, especially compared to I Am a Hero. I don't keep going back to I Am
I
a
feel
Hero.
like it's meant to like set up what's his mission really at this high school, but then it's like, yeah, but I don't care anyway, so I'm not gonna bother reading anymore.
All right, let's continue Dogpile. Morgana, you already mentioned that you're bored, but
Yeah, I mean, the art's really great. I can see the character beats that are interesting, or the things that he does with characters that are fun and interesting. There's some cute humor. I just don't care. I just didn't. I was like, I don't. This story, for whatever reason, is not compelling me. And I have not read I Am a Hero, and part of the reason I've avoided it is because I don't like zombie stuff. And I mean, I think I could be convinced to enjoy something with zombies, but I also kind of find zombies boring. So I wonder if I just fundamentally am not a Kengo Hanazawa reader.
Well, there is like a connection between him and Asano Inio, both in that they're like friends, but also like the mangas have a certain similarities to them. So
also Inio Sano is in I'm a Hero.
Yeah, he's literally inserted into I Am a Hero in a pretty funny character.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so everything everyone has said, I think is correct. I want to attempt to explain some of this though, because I've been reading Under Ninja since it was serialized in Young Magazine, and I'm caught up with all the new stuff. Darfox, really quickly, let's talk about the art.
Right.
What do you think about the art, like compared to what you remember of like I'm a Hero? And this is like also a question for Seamus.
The art is definitely a lot more. I don't know if to call it like tracey. Like um it's Asano Inio like format of taking pictures and filling it out like that. Except it's a lot less work than he does. And I think this is partly because he really I Am a Hero looks like really really good for almost all of the manga, but it falls apart towards the end. Um, and I think the reason why there's so much like kind of Photoshop backgrounds and like stuff that like it doesn't look bad, but you could tell this is a photograph of just minimal work put on it. And a lot of like heavy reference photos of like those soldiers in the very beginning of the manga. You could tell that was just like him and his assistants wearing like BDUs and shit.
100%
Like
yes.
like barely touched up. So like it doesn't look terrible. It just I would say it looks a lot worse than I Am a Hero. I'm okay with a manga like accepting certain restrictions and like using certain tools to like make his workload easier for the greater good of the manga and obviously their health. So I don't think it's a bad thing they did this. Um, but I Am a Hero popped like really hard. I Am a Hero is like that manga goes off multiple times. There's so much amazing like art set pieces in that manga. Um, there was nothing like that in this. Even when we're just comparing first volumes.
Even that scene when Kuro like walks along the walls to grab the toilet paper.
Um, the best stuff was like the carefully considered perspective shots. That stuff was really interesting looking. Um, Besides that, it was just kind of whatever.
Okay. So you're not that impressed with like the art stuff that was happening in the series.
No,
In
it,
this
it,
book.
it looks good. It's not impressive. To put put a word on it.
Okay, not impressive from Darfox. Seamus, what are your thoughts on the art here? I know you said you don't care about the story because, as you said, nothing happens.
I don't really remember the art from like I'm a Hero. Yeah, those first two pages, I was like, for a second there, I was like, oh, is he going to do like the like photo, like the nearly like photographic style comic? Which I'd be like, that'd be insane if I don't know for some reason the idea of like someone in a Japanese like serialized manga doing that seems insane to me. And it's like, oh no, he's not, because there is I've seen like examples of that before from like I don't know, was it the UK? I think it was 2018 might have had it at one stage.
You can tell he is using a lot of reference photos, but not completely. Like some characters' faces, like obviously their expressions, their facial features, that's probably drawn by hand. But there is a lot of reference photos that he uses for like the military garb and everything else.
The thing is that reference photos it shouldn't be a bad word. I guarantee
No,
you,
yeah,
Innocent
it's
uses
not.
a lot of like Innocent. I'm jumping ahead slightly, but Innocent is one of those books where you look at it, you could almost see the actor or the model they used. Like you like your brain could fit in like, oh my god, this is a real person, and they probably added
Yeah.
more detail to the hair and to the costumes. But this is a real person. They went off a picture, either a live model right in front of them or a picture of a model. But not in a bad way, not in a way that it cheapens the manga in any way. It's just the aesthetic is very strong in Innocent, whereas the aesthetic here is less defined, I guess. It's supposed to be like real life, um, but in a way that kind of looks boring, um, and also doesn't really sell the whole ninja fantasy, in my opinion.
Interesting. Interesting.
I also, the ninja thing conceptually is very weird to me. It feels very like white Western fanboy ninja stuff, which is very strange.
Yeah,
I mean, you have the Russian guy trying to
Yes.
find the ninja, so that already is there.
But also, like, the concept itself is very like, ooh, ninjas, ooh, so cool, ooh, Japan. Like, I don't know. And, it's not like Naruto has ninjas. There's no issue with ninjas in and of themselves. It's just very, like, I don't know how to explain it. It just seems very weirdly exploitative.
yeah. I think it's pretty clear that the manga's trying to be kind of absurdist, right, to a certain extent. But like it doesn't quite um hit right. Like it didn't quite hit for me. Like I didn't really get any like deep humorous feelings from it, because it's like, okay, it's a real world but there's ninjas, that's already kind of weird. um and these ninjas, the way they look and the way they act, how does that gel with the real world? It's going to create some incongruous things, some things that are like, um you know, like oxymorons and stuff like that. But like, and I never really bought that. I never really found it funny. Um, like Morgana said, it just kind of feels like weird.
Yeah, and it's kind of also a manga just about like bullshit bureaucracy. This doesn't have to be about ninjas. It could be about anybody, and it's like, oh, the people who are like not like whatever career ninjas, or they're in a rough spot. It's like, yeah, people who aren't career whatever are also, it's like a whole, I don't know. I feel like there are a few ideas here that are vying for my attention, and yeah, I don't. There are humorous aspects to this, but I also didn't feel like it was a like solid comedy for me either.
Very interesting what you're all saying.
I don't know, Douglas. Do you think I should give it like more volumes?
Okay, so I really wanted to hear everyone's take on Under Ninja. And I think everything that you guys are saying is spot on with this book and this series. I'm going to attempt to give my take on what I think Kengo Hanazawa is trying to do with this manga.
Bore us to death?
No. The boring
Oh.
part that you feel in this first volume is because of how slow paced everything is, which is on purpose. And Morgana, you mentioned the mundane bureaucracy. That's also on purpose. I think just from the beginning, where they start talking about how ninjas are like the most, badass, like wet work special ops in the entire world in this manga, it's just there to set up the idea that ninjas still exist, that now they do elite assassinations around the world. And they mention in the beginning, when they're talking about the history of ninja in this world, that there's 200,000 of these ninjas, but nobody knows who they are, and they live undercover, and they have concealed themselves throughout Japan. It's supposed to be, I think, right at the beginning when you see Kuro, and he's just in his shitty apartment, and he's just dicking around, and he's like bored out of his mind because he's doing nothing. I feel like that is what Kengo Hanazawa wants you to feel, because it's supposed to represent like what is happening with like the so-called ninja of this world. They got nothing to do. And Darfox, I don't know if you noticed this. When the one guy comes in, the delivery guy comes in, and Kuro says, "I didn't notice him standing there. Is he a career ninja?" In Japanese, he says "chunin,"
Yeah, I figured that's what they said, or that's what it was, because
the middle level.
they asterisk it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when the delivery guy calls Kuro a non-career ninja, he's referring to genin.
Getting, yeah.
I think they purposely.
All right, what does that mean?
It's
Okay.
it's the ranks in Naruto. It's like
Yes.
it's real ninja lore, right? But it's popularized in.
First of all, what do you mean by real ninja lore? Is this something that actually happened, or is this just bullshit people made up?
I
after
almost
the
spit on
fact?
my soda.
What? It probably really happened. I don't fucking know. It's like it's probably something that's been in ninja movies forever. But it was
So it's
popularized
probably
by
bullshit
Naruto.
that people made up. You mean?
Yeah, I mean, what do the words mean in Japanese? Do they mean what they translated as?
Yeah, literally it means mid-level ninja for chunin, because chu means middle. That's also the sign for the red dragon, everybody, in Richi Mahjong.
So nin is just ninja.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
And then genin means down. Like literally it's the Chinese kanji for down or like low, right? So down ninja or lower ninja.
and Junin.
Yeah, jonin, which means up. It is the kanji for up or upper ninja.
Yeah,
But they probably didn't want to use those words because they wanted to be, separate from Naruto.
Yeah, it was popularized by Naruto because there's the whole shooting exam arc where they go into the forest and they fight Orochimaru. And then later they have that tournament where Naruto fights Neji. That's all him trying to become a Chunin. But yeah.
Okay, so
Real history, Seamus. Real history. As far as
Sure.
I know.
That's Assassin's Creed also completely horse factual.
I mean, I wasn't there. I can't disprove it.
I'm trying to explain this. You guys are just making me laugh. Sorry, I didn't mean to take a side on the getting tuning thing, but so the slow process of Kuro getting that parka that looks kind of like a hoodie or like a ninja mask. You see him jump in the next chapter. You see him jump through like the hole in the apartments to his neighbor, Mr. Oma. Was it? I'm terrible with character names, but it's like 3 pages dedicated to him jumping through like this hole between the apartments, like in the closet, right? With like all this like different perspectives in the panels and all this movement. He's literally just going from one side of an apartment to the other. And it's ridiculous. Darfox, I feel like you need to look at Under Ninja like you look at Prison School.
Okay.
Kuro he's very talented ninja, but he's using his ninja powers to help his downstairs neighbor get toilet paper on the other side of like the bathroom. He's using his ninja powers to hide, from his like neighbor that he stole beer from. It's the powers that people are using, their impressive ninja skills, are done for the most mundane, dumb shit. And that, I think, is the joke of itself. This is a manga series where these talented ninja have ridiculous skills and nowhere to use them. And I thought it would have been really obvious with the bra scene. Like, the neighbor having the bra on, which is ridiculous. And then the entire, like, story about, like, the neighbor catching the bra flying in the air because it was, like, some middle school kid with a drone trying to steal a bra. Or, like, the breast milk man.
Oh boy. Let me tell you, somebody going through it. I had a lot of weird breastfeeding feelings in this set of manga, okay? I don't know if all y'all read all of Innocent, but there's some feelings in there.
Oh yeah. There too.
Some of that stuff I saw kind of shades of what I found funny in Kengo Hanazawa stuff, but particularly like when like the shitty kid was like um would have been in trouble, but like the main character's like, no, I don't want to get a kid in trouble and send him to juvie. You know, like they harped on that a lot. Like they mentioned like 3 times in one scene, and that's very reminiscent of like some of like the jokes in uh in I'm a Hero. Um, but otherwise, it was just kind of like too much quirk, no charm kind of thing. You know, it's like this manga. Like if you told me this manga was like a little bit more R-rated and Meisa Koku, where it's just like people living next to each other and they're like just weird people bouncing off each other, like that sounds fun. But like Meisa Koku is actually kind of charming. Um, where here it's just kind of like debauchery and not much else to it.
The thing is, Dar, I think you, Morgana, and Seamus are not wrong about this first volume at all. I'm able to look at this first volume and reread it after seeing the rest of Under Ninja, and I can see what Kengo Hanazawa is going for now. But like you three, when I read this from the beginning, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I didn't get it. But I've read enough of Under Ninja now to know that's what he's going for. You have these serious ninja doing these serious business and being completely serious about everything. But then Kuro is trying out a bra. Like, that entire scene where he gets the new delivery and the mission to, like, hunt down the guy cutting off dicks. He's wearing a bra, and it's completely absurd. But it's so fucking subtle, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't see it. And besides that, like, really subtle, absurdist humor that's happening, I think the other thing he's trying to do is, you know, the mysterious and the story and build the lore of this world of people who are ninjas and the ninja tech that they would use in a modern setting. Like, at the end of the volume, it cuts back to the beginning, where it was the scene of the American soldiers busting out on the guy. But this time you see, like, the silhouette of, like, a ninja who's using some kind of, like, stealth camo. Like, that kind of stuff. I want you to consider, Darfox, that the final page of this first volume, Kuro figured out how to use the parka because it has camo ability. But he's literally only half invisible.
Yeah.
You can see his fucking shorts and legs just fine. And that joke keeps coming up, where people use, like, camo shit, and it's just their upper torso. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that's the absurdist ridiculousness, and I think is the appeal of Under Ninja. But unfortunately, like, this first volume doesn't do a great job letting you all know. Like, Morgana, you got bored. Seamus got bored. Dark Fox, you were just
I'll
like,
be honest,
isn't that
you're not
good?
really sending me on the rest of it either.
I wasn't
Yeah.
bored. I was offended. No, okay.
I guess, you know, I understand what you're saying. There are a lot of series that get better as they go on. But I feel like if this first volume or these, you know, isn't going to sell me on it, that's not going to work. Like, there's no buy-in here. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I want to keep going. Even, you know, if you hadn't told me all of this, if there was no other devil's advocate here, I would have read this volume and been like, well, that was a waste of my time, and just moved on with my life. So he's trying. I'm not sure he's making it work.
I think that's completely fair. That's why I was enjoying all three of your reactions to this volume so much.
Have you tried the anime?
Yeah.
I was curious if the anime maybe does a better job of selling the absurdist nature of stuff.
No, the anime is also pretty subtle about everything and handles everything pretty serious. But I think the voice acting helps, you know.
I feel like actually, I got to that last page and I was like, oh, I see what joke you're making here. And I was like, yeah, that's great. And something else now.
I think
That's why
that's
when you're
totally
describing all
fair.
the stuff, I'm like, yeah, I can't see me liking this more.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I will say, looking back on this first volume, because I hadn't reread it from the beginning since it's been serialized, I'm pretty impressed with Kingo Hanazawa's like art stuff. Darfox mentioned the perspectives, of course. We already mentioned like he's taking a lot of like reference photos of like humans and like people and their proportions, and even like the backgrounds as well. It's not. He doesn't do the backgrounds quite as well as someone like Inyo Sano, where it's like he's completely like transformed that into like his own thing. And he is doing some stuff with like the human characters, but because his art style is like kind of leans toward more like a little cartoony, like more simple look, it's like it weirdly doesn't match like all the other really realistic looking stuff, like the backgrounds and like the clothes and some of the other stuff. And that might be Darfox why you feel like kind of how like it's, what'd you say, lacking, or what was the word you used?
I don't remember.
Unimpressive.
Unimpressive. Pathetic is what I called it.
Pathetic. Jeez.
Nah.
Plebeian.
Okay. I just want to give what I think is the appeal and like what people like about Under Ninja, and what I think Kengo Hanazawa is trying to say with this manga. So I hope I got
fair.
I got that point across at least. But I agree with you all. Like this first volume, it's really hard. It is so slow. Everything that's happening. I actually think like they cover the entire contents of this manga, this entire volume, in 2 episodes of the anime, from what I saw. And they also made a choice to like start during a conflict that comes up later at the school that Kuro's gonna go to, and then flashback. Because I think like the anime team recognized that the beginning of this manga is just so slow. Better way to hook people to try and, you know, watch the anime. The current Under Ninja stuff is it's pretty interesting. I like how the combination of like the lore and the story and the characters with the absurdist stuff has kind of gone someplace. But yeah, this first volume is it's a slow ass build, and obviously it did not hit for the 3 of you. So
Does he have to 21 Jump Street into the school?
the 20 on Jump Street.
Does he have to pretend to be a student in the school?
Oh yes, there's an entire process of like how he gets through that exam he's gonna go to on Saturday. It's fucking stupid.
Well, I guess he's 17, so he's not really. I was thinking.
I know
like,
you wouldn't think when you start this manga, you're like, this guy's 17. He looks like he's just like
Right? That
maybe
stubble.
late 20s.
Doesn't like the neighbor even mention that? It's like, wait, you're 17? What? I thought you were
Yeah,
like 30s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
was
just
going
bring
to
it
say,
up.
is that even like a joke? I don't know if it's the case in Japan, but I feel like this is a joke you see about like American shows starring teenagers, and it's like no one here is like even under the age of 20, like never mind in their teens.
I don't know that. Okay, is there anything anyone else wants to mention about Under Ninja?
No, I think he's already dead.
Okay. Darfox, would you read more Under Ninja?
I'd give it a shot just because I like enough of the other guy's stuff.
Just to look at volume 2 and see if like it picks up for some of the stuff I mentioned.
Yeah.
Morgana, I think you're gonna say no. Unless we
Yeah.
force you to.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay. And same with you, Seamus.
Yeah.
Rather not. Yeah. Okay.
Retrospective, here we go. Boop, boop.
This is what I was expecting, but I'm glad we had this conversation. Because, you know, not a lot of people I don't think have talked about Under Ninja, or it's like, how do you describe Under Ninja? I think we did it. We described Under Ninja. All right, Seamus, I'm gonna let you pick again. What shall we talk about next?
We'll go Orb.
Orb.
We are going in the order that I read them.
Okay. we're going to talk about Orb on the Movements of the Earth. Japanese title was Chi, which literally means Earth. This is a manga by Uoto. It started in 2020 in Big Comic Spirits, which is Shogakukan Seinen magazine. It has been completed. It's 8 volumes total. It's being released by Seven Seas Entertainment in English in these omnibus collections. So this is combination volume 1 and 2. And yeah, this just came out at the end of November. So this is a fresh release.
Hot off the presses.
Let me go ahead and do all the localization real quick. So this is translated by Daniel Komen, adaptation by Molly Tanzer, lettering Phil Christie, original cover design Tadashi Hisamochi, cover design HQI. I'm gonna stop right there. Seven Seas always has great credits. I really appreciate them. Now, let me read the copy over at Seven Seas. Epic historical fiction meets scientific suspense in this award-winning tale inspired an upcoming anime. Available in English for the first time in oversized omnibus editions, a mysterious pendant sparks a quest to shed light on an astronomical truth, even if it would mean earth-shaking revolution. In 15th century Europe, heretics are being burned at the stake. Rafal, a brilliant young man, is expected to enter university at an early age and study the era's most important field, theology. But Rafal values reason above all else, which leads him to the shocking conclusion that the Earth orbits the Sun and into the hands of the Inquisition. A decade later, 2 members of the Watch Guild, the dour young Oxy and the cynical Gras, find a hidden stone chest that details the secrets of the universe Raphael left behind. Dare they try to change their own stars by selling the heretical texts? Or would that only lead to the stake and the fire? That copy kind of gives away things. But it's alright.
Spoilers.
Okay, so I talked about this manga on the podcast when it came out. This manga has won the I'm pretty sure it won an award. Yeah, it won the Manga Taisho Award, like the grand prize. So yeah, I had talked about this manga. I mentioned that there's a manga about, heliocentrism. I said I wanted Shames to read it. I read both volumes. Morgana, I suspect you read both volumes.
Yes, I read all of everything.
Good for you. Dar, did you read a volume of this?
Yes, I read a couple more chapters into it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I wasn't sure.
Okay, Seamus, how much of this omnibus did you read?
I think I just read the first volume. I
Okay.
didn't read the entirety anyway.
Okay. Now, I wanted Seamus to talk about this manga. I was like, maybe, this might be an interesting manga for Seamus. But after rereading this week, I think that was it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Just like heliocentrism.
Seamus is gonna
Um,
burn us all as heretics.
like, it comes up toward the end of this first volume, but it comes up a lot in the second volume, and Seamus said he didn't read it, so I don't think he saw it, but there's a lot of hope stuff in here. And I was thinking while rereading this, I don't think this is gonna gel with Seamus, so Seamus, I want to know, what did you think about Orb on the Movements of the Earth by Uoto?
The kid at the end of the first volume was like, nah, I'm just killing myself now. I was like, this is great. The rest of it, I was like, eh.
Yep.
Smart kid.
I feel like with anytime you're doing his fiction based on history, to me, it's like an adaptation. It's like, okay, what are you doing? What do you take it from the history that's going to be like interesting? And here it was like, I don't know. I was like, I could just read a history book on this, and it'd be like more interesting because it's not going to be constrained by fiction.
The thing that I thought was interesting is this is based on history, but they very carefully didn't mention the church. They kind of like, or like Jesus Christ, like they're absolutely talking about the Catholic Church, but they kind of just use like the first letter
Yes.
of these. I'm like,
Yeah,
guys.
that was true. Yeah, that was so weird. Particularly because like it's like it can at this well, not that it can only be the Catholic Church. At least in like Western Europe, only the Catholic Church exists at
Right.
this point. Because the Protestants started off.
Oh, probably some. But you know, I mean, it's the Inquisition. Essentially, it's this is the kind of thing that church did not like. Also, I feel like I remember this from the preview when you showed this to us ages ago, Dakazu, but I had
the
forgotten
beginning with like the pair of
the
whatever.
fingernails. The fingernails.
Oh shit!
I can handle almost any other kind of. I mean, it's not pleasant to look at all the other kinds of torture, but I hate fingernail trauma. It's so graphic. Warning: don't read this if you have problems with fingernail trauma.
I mean, it's one scene, Morgana, but
It's
I get
terrible.
you. It's very graphic.
No,
it's
you should
very, very graphic.
just turn the page really fast, like I did.
Should I put it up on stream?
Don't you dare!
Okay.
I am watching the stream.
All right.
It'll get taken down by YouTube for being too graphic.
Okay. So Seamus, you said you did like the end of the first volume, and
I like where the kid was like, I'm killing myself now. Like I'm just not gonna bother.
Okay, so you appreciate him just being like, "Yo, peace out." But as far as like the actual drama of like what he goes through in that first volume, it wasn't appealing to you, or you didn't care.
I was interested in this. I just read an actual history book on it.
Okay, makes sense. Unfortunately for them, this book is not for you because that's the theme of like Orb. It is the human drama involved with the people who learn about the truth about the universe, the heliocentrism, and what they struggle with that. Like, what do they do with that knowledge? Are they going to suppress it? Are they going to try and save it, to spread it? What will happen? Dar, I'll turn to you next because you said you also only read the first volume. What did you think of this manga?
I liked it. I thought that the art was kind of rough around the edges, but not in a completely uncharming way. But everything else, sorry. But everything else, like the paneling and the pacing, I thought was very well done. I think this person might have talent to make comics.
He's making that, deep state manga, right? That I told you about next, right now.
Yeah. I vaguely remember us talking about it.
Okay.
That seems way more interesting.
Shamus, you probably really like that manga. Because the main character has gone full fucking conspiracist at this point.
So I liked, I really enjoyed basically just the comic making of it. As far as the actual plot, I thought it was interesting enough. I thought that they're doing a pretty good job at building the villain, which was I don't know what was his title, but basically the torture
Inquisitor.
guy. Yeah, torture McGee, very much a psychopath. But his society is set up in such a way so that he's actually has a job of respect. Yeah, I don't know. I generally, as somebody who wouldn't really read a history book, I generally enjoyed seeing all these characters deal with this real life fucked moment in the world where if you study something you're not supposed to, you'll get fucking tortured and killed and burned alive. It's genuinely pretty scary subject matter. Um, so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I would have read more of it, but I was falling behind and I needed to read other manga. So
All right.
yeah, I liked it.
Very nice. Morgana, you read the second volume as well, so
Mhm.
let's talk about it. What did you think of Orb, both volumes?
I enjoyed it. I like historical fiction. I like the human drama of historical fiction. I think I like Raphael as a character more than I like the Grass and
Oxy. Yeah.
Oxy. I like them. They're fine. But I kind of liked him, and I was a little bit interested in seeing his progression. And then he just killed himself, and I was like, well, okay. I guess that's that. Um, yeah, the art is weird. It's not bad. Uh, it's, I don't know if inconsistent is the right word. Maybe. There's a lot of things about it that are really good and really striking. The torture scenes are very elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of torture in these manga. You know, it's because we read historical fiction. That's why.
And the time, the historical
History.
time that they were running. Yeah.
History's bad, guys. History's terrible. I actually like this point in world history, in European history, I should say. I think it's interesting, and I like people who subverted the expectations of the time. But the thing that I'm struggling with is that these people who are coming across these ideas of heliocentrism, both Raphael and then these, the other guys, they're being really dumb about it, like hiding it. Like just hide it. Just why are you getting found out? Stop it. Like can it be that hard? I don't know.
Well, you saw in the second volume at the end they introduced that the priest
Yes.
who is he wants to study this, and obviously like the head priest above him knows about this, but like has locked that knowledge away as a prohibited book,
Yes.
and even burns out one of his eyes. He lost one of his eyes because of that. So.
Yes. Um it's also kind of funny that like I'm usually the kind of person who is not interested in a story if all the characters suck. These characters kind of suck, like as humans. Gross was pretty cool. I liked him. He died. It's like oh, all the interesting people kind of die, or all the people I can kind of understand or like have sympathy for have kind of died. Oxy, I guess, is like, I guess I could relate with him on some level, but he's a little bit too. I think it's just this is a matter of the difference in the culture we grow up in, right? Like he's like, oh, Earth is a terrible, dirty place, and I'm like, no, it's not, dumbass. And then there are people around him who are telling him, no, it's not. It's really not. God made us. God made this beautiful. I really like the. I don't. I really like the idea that a couple of the figures who are promoting heliocentrism bring up, which is that it doesn't refute God's plan, but it proves that the universe is a beautiful place, and it kind of fits in with the teachings in a lot of ways. It proves God's love, it proves God's plan. Because I feel like so much of what the church did at the time was just make rules and stick by them because they were the rules that they had set, and didn't really consider whether or not that was in keeping with the spirit of the their faith.
That comes up with that priest character, but
Yeah,
Denny.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, he mentions that directly. Yeah.
So I generally like this. It's a weird one though. It's weird that it's in English. I like that it's been translated. I like that it's here, but like historical fiction feels like kind of a niche in manga. And like this kind of very specific historical fiction with about heliocentrism opposing the Catholic Church with weird art and weird characters.
Your first protagonist dies at the end of volume 1.
Right. I'm very curious as to see how this is gonna do in English.
Well,
I recommend it.
We'll go back when I think they decide to bring over the manga because there's an anime that's going to happen next year. So that probably helped a lot.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, so I don't know that this is like the greatest manga I've read, but I kind of just like it on the grounds that it's a weird anomaly. Like heliocentrism or something. This is not a weird anomaly. It makes a lot of logical sense. I love that. I love the diagrams of how the church had been teaching the movement of the planets around the Earth, which makes it is just so complicated. It's just such a ridiculous. It's beautiful, so complicated.
It looks like one of those etch-a-sketch things.
Yeah, it's
that you draw like on paper.
The mandala.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Would it surprise any of you to know that manga artists love this fucking manga?
No.
Not at all.
They raved about how good this manga was while it was going.
What did you love? Was it just like the art, or what was the... Like, I did think the bit actually where, I can't remember where it is, where like he's on about flipping perspectives, and like the panels are actually like almost flipped.
Yes.
It was like very cool page actually as well.
I think some of the perspective stuff and some of the cartooning, but I think it's mostly the combination of that with the human drama story and the way Uto is just like, hey, this character Raphael, he's gonna fucking kill himself at the end of volume 1. And then we're just gonna jump to a new set of characters as we continue these like people being involved with learning about heliocentrism.
Shocking.
Morgana, the torturer, is back in that second volume too.
Sure is. He's got a beard now.
He is the series antagonist.
No kidding. Well, him and Church.
And the church.
I guess he kind of represents it. Yeah.
His name is Nowak, and he represents the church, so.
The series needs to end with him introducing a giant vat of acid where he's gonna burn up all the heretics that he's like, oh no, I tripped, and then him and all the priests fall into the giant vat of acid. That has to be
you joke, but you think you're telling funny jokes, but yeah.
I always think I'm telling funny jokes. I never think I'm telling unfunny jokes.
Oh.
It's you're not that far off, honestly.
That's so funny. I kind of thought that Raphael's suicide would have like compelled him to think differently about his job, but obviously he's like not. No, he's just not.
He's pretty much a psychopath.
He just wants to hurt people and get paid for it. Gross. He's a cop. I mean, literally, I guess. They're all kind of watchdogs for the church.
I mean, they have... I assume they have way more power and authority than any regular constable walking the street.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they could easily get a constable killed. Or whatever.
If they're a heretic, yeah. They say something against
the police
God.
didn't really exist as we know them back then.
No.
So then how did they stop me from taking all your potatoes?
Well,
I don't
the
know.
church burns you at the stake.
I don't know. I just take a shovel to you.
Oh, okay, so it was just like street justice.
Or like, I'd be like, this lad brought over potatoes, and then there'd be some person who'd rock up. There's like courts of a kind, like, and then there'd be, I don't know. But like, the ideas of like prison or the police or anything like that outside of kind of existing in towns, like, isn't a thing back then. Like, that's really only the last, probably, I guess you'd say, like the 1800s.
Yeah, if you're interested in that and you want to read a novel or a series of novels, The Gods of Gotham is a novel about the creation of the police force in New York City. It's really good. It's a murder mystery, so I like it. Really, really good. Kind of talks about how the function of the police in the United States, the reason the police came to be, was pretty much catching escaped slaves. It's a trilogy.
I'm
really
so shocked right now.
right, I know. Yeah. Yeah, the function of the cops was to catch slaves.
Officer,
Mhm.
overseer. Think of the similarities. My grandfather had to deal with the cops. My great grandfather deal. My great grandfather deal with the cops. Tell me when it's gonna stop. Sorry, I'm just.
just ripping. But yeah,
I mean,
it's a good
Morgana, we
book.
kind of saw some stuff happening in that second volume with like the system, right? And like the two main characters, how they're part of the Watchers Guild. Their job is basically to like do duels and the place of nobles and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is also hilarious.
There's even like a small scene where you see like Noble giving to like a beggar, and then like later on you see that the noble has just killed the beggar and
Yep.
laughing about like what was it? They said something about there's nothing like these poppers in just when they start smiling. Like doing in
Yep.
these poppers, yeah,
Giving them hope and then
yeah,
killing. Yeah.
taking it away.
One of my favorite. I guess she's an influencer. She's a. She's a mortician and a death advocate and a good death advocate. She's great. Her name's Caitlin Doty. She does all these history videos too, and one of her little catchphrases is "The Middle Ages were magic," and I feel like that sums up this series pretty well.
Is there anything else people want to mention about this manga? Orb.
Or no, I'm glad it's translated. I would hope that maybe this one day leads to Historiae being translated.
I mean, that manga is still on hiatus. It's been on hiatus for years, so.
Well, so is history. History is not done either. So
Isn't
It
it
just
the
keeps
opposite of
going and
history?
going.
History keeps going.
yeah, but it's not done.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's. I just think that it's crazy that the Parasite guy. We don't have this as a manga. Parasite.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But like Morgana mentioned, historical manga, like who knows? That's such a niche, so
Yeah,
who knows how well this will do.
I mean, like 2 of the 3 manga we're reading this week are historical fiction. I am really crossing my fingers and toes that we're going to get more because I like it. One of my favorite. I've talked about Bride Story, love Bride Story. Like so. We're gonna read Oku next year, hopefully. I mean, I hope people realize history is cool.
I mean, but like, if people know more about this manga, won't some people be like, this manga is just bashing the church?
I mean, the church was categorically wrong and has since said so. So, I mean, they can.
Only the dumbest people, like literally dumbest people, would actually be offended from a church perspective.
Yeah, the church. I could tell. Anytime somebody is like surprised by something the Pope says or the church does, I'm like, literally none of this is impressive or weird. Like this is. I saw like I guess the Pope like let some bishop go because he was being a dickwad. I don't remember what the circumstances were, but somebody was like, "Oh my God, he can just like fire somebody? Like that's terrible." And I'm like, he's God's representative on earth. He is the dictator of the Catholic Church. Like, I don't understand what you don't understand about how the Catholic Church works. None of this is strange. But the Catholic Church's official belief is, yes, the Earth does in fact orbit around the sun. They are also open to the theory of evolution as long as you recognize that the soul entered humans at some point along that path. So the Catholic Church anyway is not quite so scientifically backwards as they once were.
Well, Morgana, it sounds like you would be interested in reading more Orb.
Yeah, definitely.
Dar, what do you think about Orb? Would you read more?
Yeah, I generally liked it. Striking manga.
Seamus, what about you? Will you read the second half of this manga? Read some more?
No.
I think that's fair. Like, you're not
He's-
interested in the human drama part, and like that's the main crux of themes of this manga. So
He's already bookmarked various heliocentrism books that he could go check out the library.
Chris is gonna peace out. Good night, Chris.
Cliff.
Oh, I said Chris. Yeah,
I
sorry.
think Chris already pieced.
Yeah, Crispin and Peace. Cliff is leaving. Peace, Cliff.
Well, we should also get ready because we've been going for a while. Let's go along to our last manga in this triple dip. We read Innocent, which was the manga that Shin-ichi Sakamoto did before he started drawing #DRCO. A manga that we read for October Extravaganza, though Darfox, you were absent from that one. So we have Innocent by Shinichi Sakamoto. This is put out by Dark Horse in English. Let's see. This manga started in 2013, running in Weekly Young Jump magazine from Shueisha, as their seinen magazine. It is a total of 9 volumes, but then it had a sequel series called Innocent Rouge, which was 12 more volumes. So altogether, like, the Innocent series is 21 volumes total. I'm assuming Dark Horse is going to put those out too, but you know, it's Dark Horse. We don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows with Dark Horse? Let me get the localization here. Man. Okay, sorry. Dark Horse does their stuff differently. I think it's at the beginning. Okay, good. Translation done by Michael Gombos, and lettering and retouch done by Susie Lee and Studio Cutie. This omnibus is meaty. It is a 3-volume set. The first volume is chapters 1 through 8. Let me read the copy. Blood, Death, and Duty, the title bequeathed to the heir of the royal executioner, becomes a burden too heavy to bear. In this omnibus edition, collecting volumes 1 through 3 of the original manga series, Shinichi Sakamoto masterfully fictionalizes the true life of Charles Henry Sanson, the gentleman of Paris, who performed nearly 3,000 executions in 18th century France. Born into a family of executioners, Charles Henry Sanson must take up his father's mantle as the royal executioner of Paris. Conflicted between his desire to honor the family name and rebelling against the long-standing practice, he chooses to follow tradition but vows to be the last executioner, the last Sanson to spill blood in the name of justice. Now, I picked this book because Morgana loved #DRCL, and this is another manga by Shinichi Sakamoto. So Morgana, I will turn to you first. You read all 3 volumes of this. Good for you.
I did 600 damn pages.
600 damn pages of some pretty drawings by Shinichi Sakamoto. What did you think about this story about Charles Henry Sanson, otherwise known as fucking emo Dracula executioner boy?
So yeah, when I picked this up, or when we discussed it, I was like, oh great, we're gonna read this beautiful manga about an executioner. I did not expect it to be about the saddest queer on the planet. This boy is such a wilting lily. I love him, and he must be protected at all costs. This is extraordinarily not what I expected in terms of tone and like the character of Charles Henry. I love it. This is this is incredible. I like that he goes into this, goes into the practice. I mean, should come as no surprise. I am firmly opposed to capital punishment. I'm opposed to executions. So I really kind of like that he's trying to subvert it by going through with it. It's kind of a weird, like, it's terrible that he has to do this, but he's also like, you kind of watch him become more and more radicalized. I love the bit with the like laborer who he then ends up having to execute, and that's kind of where we leave off at the end. And this idea that in I guess, I don't know if Dark Fox and Seamus have read this, so spoilers, I guess. You Charles Henri gets up there and is like, I am going to perform this so that the people here understand that this is wrong, that what I'm doing is wrong. Like, he is setting himself up as the villain on purpose, which I think is very fascinating. There's also, I mean, I expected a certain amount of sex and nudity, having read #DRCL. There was a lot. There's a lot of it.
This ran in Young Jump, and they kind of like to lean into that stuff. It's like, let's have some sex.
I mean, it was pornographic, like, actually. And some very weird feelings about. So his grandmother is kind of this sinister matriarch. I get the sense that she really wants to be an executioner herself, but like, because it's, France at the time, she can't, what is it, 18th century France, she can't do it herself, so she just like bullies her son and her grandson into doing it. Her manipulation, the way she manipulates, and this like constantly going back to the imagery of breastfeeding and the imagery of like a spider snaring her son in her web, is deeply upsetting as a mother, but also really intriguing as like a theme. This idea that she is showing love and nurturing only to get what she wants. It does mean that like the only female characters in this are either sinister bitches like her or basically non-existent, except for Charles's little sister, who is a psychopath and wants to pull apart people. She's
going to be a major character as this goes along.
I suspect she will. I kind of had a sense. I appreciate that, they do all these things with the family tree, and they talk about what each of the kids ends up doing. Like, they marry this executioner, they become an executioner of this town, and under her name is just a horrifying scribble. Who knows? Who knows what she's up to?
Gotta keep reading.
So yeah, this was fantastic. And I had put in our admin chat a reminder to myself. There is a, at the beginning of the chapter, there's a chapter illustration, and there's one where the family is all sitting at the table, and Charles is sitting kind of at the, like, on the right-hand side, like, not at the table, but the table is lit from the center, so the figures are all lit, and then the rest of the room is dark. This is a direct reference, I believe, to Rembrandt, the painter. And the reason I know this is because when I was in a drawing class in college, my professor actually gave us a really shittily Xeroxed copy of a Rembrandt painting, because Rembrandt was known for doing this kind of centered light idea, this like central light that, so what he did was he purposefully, like, it's a really oversaturated Xerox that we got, so that we would go in and just take charcoal and recreate this without bothering like with what the figures were, just get the sense of light. Shinichi Sakamoto is really good at this. He's really good at manipulating light and shadow, and this particular illustration just like it hit me like a train. But he's making art references throughout this whole thing, and I think like Shinichi Sakamoto is like, It's like somebody went into my brain and was like, okay, she likes J-rock aesthetic, she likes fine art of the, Renaissance and 18th century. She likes queers. Let's just put this all together and make Shinichi Sakamoto and his entire everything that he has created. I don't know how they did this, but they did this. This is not the particular image I'm thinking of, Dark Fox, that you have on screen, but this is also a really good example.
Yeah, this one was right next to the other one I had, so.
And just look at those shadows.
Shinichi Sakamoto is an incredible artist. We mentioned this when we talked about #DRCL, but Morgan, do you think that this manga is a little easier to parse than DRCL, though?
Yes. And, I mean, I really like DRCL, and I will continue reading it for sure. I like this one better. I think this is more effective. I think the story, I think the character, like DRCL didn't. Nominally, it focuses on Mina, but it was kind of a little bit all over the place. This is very much centered on Charles Henri and on the things that affect him as the, as the executioner of Paris. And it's just gorgeous, and it's really hard to read. Also, there's a lot of really upsetting visuals, really upsetting ideas in it. But I kind of, it's the kind of thing where if I were writing, I would probably shy away from it, and I appreciate that it's not being shied away from because it's so much more powerful. Like the first person he ever has to execute is his boyfriend. Like, that sucks. I mean,
Doesn't
I say
go too well.
boyfriend. Yeah, it's terrible. It's awful. I'm like, no. I wanted him to have a happy queer love story. It's not gonna happen. I know that's not gonna happen. Also, like, there's a bit later on where his uncle Nicholas shows up, and he's like, "Oh my god, Uncle Nicholas!" And you have these two beautiful men just embracing. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This whole thing, it's so funny in so many ways. There's so many things about it that are so absurd. I will say, however, men in the 18th century definitely dressed like that. I mean, you've seen the paintings of the men with the powdered wigs. It was a look. People definitely had, I don't know if they had the glorious ebony locks that Charles has, this beautiful flowing hair. It seems like it would get in the way when you're like killing people. Just accidentally chop your own hair off. But man, yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I was excited to read this. I'm so glad I read it. There was no way I wasn't going to read the whole thing. I couldn't stop thinking about it even after I read it. I keep going back to it. Keep going back to the imagery. So yeah.
Yeah, the first volume is good too, but like the second and third volume just keep getting better and better with all the scenes, all the art, all the visual representation of like what is happening in the scenes. When he's executing his boyfriend at the beginning of volume 2, and he like is fucking it up and just going crazy. That imagery of the pomegranate being split open into a million shards is so good. This is good manga, everybody. But let's turn to Darfox next.
Hi.
Dar, you missed DRCL.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your first time with Shinichi Sakamoto. What did you think of Innocent?
I thought it was a very fancy book. Very special. I thought the main character became more likable as it went on, because at the start it was more like his motivations seemed to be purely like, oh, I don't want to do this execution stuff because it's a downer and people hate us, and I don't want people to hate us.
He's sad, boy.
Yeah,
He's a bit of a wet blanket at the start.
and I think that's
He's
fair.
basically out of a
Well,
he's basically Flowers of Evil.
He's like 14.
Yeah,
He's a kid.
I think
The
those
Flowers of Evil.
Hey, I'm not trying to make these connections. This dog zoo. Like I think those feelings are fair, but there isn't much there in the beginning, and as time goes on, and at the end of the first volume, it's replaced with more outward resentment when he's like, I literally haven't done anything wrong, but people are hating me right now. So I thought that was an interesting character turn, and to hear about like how he becomes more radicalized. And I don't know anything about the real historical figure, but the book is telling you that he executes like Marie Antoinette. So I assume he's part of the French Revolution. So good on him for choosing right sides, I guess.
Well, it could also just be that like he works for whoever's in charge. When the king's in charge, you do what the king does, and when the king's not in charge, you do whoever took his place.
I guess we'll find out. But his convictions definitely do grow, and I do feel like having, especially in the third volume of this omnibus, there is a sense that he is getting radicalized, and that and again he's kind of setting himself up as the bad guy in a lot of ways. So
I thought the boner he had during the torture was weird. Or were they
excessive?
Were they trying to explain that as a biological function? Because I understood it as like that he has some shit going on with like torture, but is that
no?
That's not what's going on.
No, they were talking about the blood rushing to his legs because he.
And they had nowhere else to go, so it went to his boner.
Yeah, so
I've seen that in multiple manga talking about how people, when they're about to die, men like pop a boner and like actually ejaculate and stuff like that.
Okay,
I don't know if that's true or not.
And then you have sex with them when you give birth to a holy child.
Sure.
Hasn't happened to me yet, but
something about leaving your seed before you die. I don't know.
There's a lot of what one might call psychosexual shit going on in this book. There's a lot of real weird sex stuff. I don't know if you saw some of the sex stuff later. It's bizarre.
So that was my question. Is that going to be an aspect of the book where he gets off when he kills someone?
No, not that. No. There is a scene, spoilers, where he's going to talk to his father, and his father is in the middle of having sex with his stepmother, and makes like full-on eye contact with his son and just keeps on going and like talking about how he needs to make a new heir because his son is so disappointing. Full eye contact with his son while screwing his wife.
Dar, let me read you exactly what he says. Children are merely puppets created by their parents' seed, nothing more. Should a replacement be needed, one can always simply be made.
But Captain, that's illogical. You were children once as well.
Yeah, but he was a good child. I think a better quote is from Three Kingdoms. Like, children are like garments, brothers are like limbs. You know which one you'd save.
Yikes.
Did Sao Sao say that?
No, I think it was Guang Yu said that to Liu Bei when he was like, you need to drop the kids and run. You need to drop the wife and kids because it's like I think that was the quote, like wives and kids are like garments, brothers are like limbs.
We haven't seen that part yet, Darfox, in our Three Kingdoms show. That's why.
She must be really early in that. That's a fairly early in the book.
There's a lot of Three Kingdoms, Seamus.
Yeah. Well, isn't that right before Red Cliffs? Is that the beginning of the Red Cliffs movie?
That's like no. Yes, it's before what happens in Red Cliffs because Liu Bei is escaping to the south with his people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into Three Kingdoms tangent. Sorry. Add it to the bingo board. Sorry.
As someone who has birth children, I would save my children before my sister.
Oh no.
I went through a lot of shit. No, I'm kidding. I hope I never have to make that decision. Funny though. Also more spoilers. Maybe Divine Retribution. His dad has a stroke. so he's
Hell
kind of
yeah.
effectively useless for the rest of the thing. So, which is why Charles kind of takes over. He's representing his father as the head of the Sanson family when he goes and does all these other executions. So
How do you say Charles in French?
Charles,
In
Charles
French?
Henri,
Charles.
Charles Henri Sanson. I love how they all have like 5 names. Also, they're all like Charles Henri and Nicolas Baba and Jean Baptiste.
Okay. I shouldn't say this. A very brief thing about work. Um, I want. Okay, how should I say? A customer came up and we were trying to find the customer's item, and then it took us a minute because we mistakenly read his middle name as one of his last names. So we apologize. Sorry for the wait. We're looking at your name differently. We thought we were looking at the second last name, but we weren't. And he just makes a face and he's like, "Well, that's silly. Like, a last name is a last name because it comes last. Of course it's gonna be a last name." And I was just like, "Okay, like Hispanics have like 3 last names, and like other people have like different cultures and different like way
Yeah.
to do things. You fucking idiot! Like, just shut
Yeah.
the fuck up and take your item and leave."
Both of my children have 2 middle names because one of those middle names is Santilli. And I have a friend, Alpina. She had, I think. Hang on, let me count her names. Yeah, she had 3 middle names. A first name, 3. No, her first. She had 2 first names, 2 middle names, and a last name.
I mean, in Three Kingdoms, they have their name and they have their style name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You can't stop.
I couldn't help myself.
I think there was also a thing, if you ever read Russian novels, it's like characters have like 5 different names depending on who's talking to them.
Eesh.
And then
You-
you add maiden names to it, then it gets bug wild.
I mean, at least in this manga, they refer to Charles mostly as Charles.
Charlie,
Chuckles.
go to Chucky.
Charlotte is some. I think I saw
Yeah, Charlot. Yeah,
Charlotte. I like that.
Charlot. That's what Charlie Chaplin was called in France. They really liked him there. Yeah, they used to call him Charlot.
Okay, we've been going for a long time, so we should just keep going along. Seamus, you like DRCL. What did you think of Innocent?
I liked it. I'm kind of interested to see. I don't think I liked the first volume as much as I liked DRCL Children. But I think kind of what it's set up is a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about the full this, because I think I mean, like many things, it picks up a lot after the first one. The first volume is good. The stuff that comes after is hot. It's good shit.
Yeah, I mean, the first volume ends with him starting his first execution against his boyfriend. And then, like, the second and third just, like, get into, like, some crazy shit. As, like, like we mentioned, like, the execution is a whole botch, and then his dad is trying to make a new heir and having a stroke, and Charles buckles up and decides he's gonna carry it out, but he wants to be the last executioner. And this whole thing with, like, the farmer that he befriends that tries to assassinate the king.
I feel like we keep getting these, like, the beginnings of these romances that never come. I like, there was that bit where the farmer, like, whisks him off on the horse and is like, "Come to my village and I'll get you some things to pay you back." And he's like, Charles is, like, wrapped in this, like, fur robe the whole time. I'm like, oh, it's so dramatic and romantic. And now he's got to kill the guy.
Yep.
Was that a scene in Game of Thrones where like they made a executioner drunk or something? I never saw Game of Thrones, but I think I heard about this. They intoxicated the executioner so that he had a messy execution, and that's how they got back on somebody. Or am I crazy?
I don't remember anything about Game of Thrones anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
Just block that out of your memory.
I'm kind of surprised Seamus enjoyed this because I thought the fact that they're focusing so much on like this time period in France and like there's a lot of aristocrats and that kind of stuff, I figured you would.
Yeah, but they're all going to die.
I was just gonna say.
Okay.
It's not like these lads are great. It's like, line them up, cut their heads off, all for the better. I'm like, damn right.
All right, I did predict that Seamus would not like Orb as much, and then that he would definitely like this more. But I was worried about that kind of stuff. So
There was one thing I was thinking about with this. Is this like a retake on Rosa Versailles, which I haven't actually read? But what I've read of it, the whole part there is like she's like, fuck this, I'm going with the revolution at some point.
I have not read Rose of Versailles yet. I have I have the first volume downstairs somewhere. I'll read it and I'll get back to you.
yeah, have to be a Morgana extra credit thing because I also have not read Rose of Versailles, so I only know of it.
And I don't think it's available digital. I think you just have to go.
It isn't. Otherwise, we would have read it because
Yeah.
it's definitely worth doing. But yeah, we've been going for a long time, so I think I'm gonna push towards the end, unless there's something else you want to mention. I feel like Morgana, you covered it basically.
What more needs to be said? It's perfect.
What more can I say?
Oh, I will say, like, we read the digital version and this put out by Dark Horse, right? I felt like Shinichi Sakamoto's artwork looks great, but there's like two-page spreads at the end of the first chapter, and at least on the digital version, I felt they didn't look great. Like there was a lot of Moira and stuff like that.
This digital version is weird because it doesn't give me 2-page spreads; it just gives me 1 page, and the 2-page spreads are small. So
yeah,
it's weird. I don't like it. I think they did a bad job.
It does that weird thing on Kindle where if you double click, it doesn't zoom in, but it goes panel to panel, and I fucking hate that so much. That's my like one con, and I think it's just limited to the digital edition. Morgana, you read a physical, right?
No, I actually read the digital. I have not yet purchased the physical edition.
But you will.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking earlier today that I needed to text the manager at Kamikopi and be like, "Hey, just put me down for all of this series, please." I just can't stay away from those fucking huge 3-volume omnibus bricks that Dark Horse puts out. Apparently,
when they're this,
Kurosagi.
So this omnibus just came out at the end of November, so similar to Orb. That's why we had to wait to do it at the end of the year, but I don't know when they're going to put out the next one because it's Dark Horse.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Dark Horse. You're going to be waiting on this just like you're waiting on Kurosagi Corp's delivery service. Morgana, you would obviously read more.
Yep.
Seamus, you think you would read the rest of this? Read more? Read another collection?
Yes, I think I'll probably finish up this omnibus tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow. This week anyway.
Nice. Dar, do you want to do extra credit and actually have to read more than you you need to?
I'm interested.
That's great. That's great. It was fun rereading this for me because it's been a long time since I read Innocent. It's an older manga at this point, and reading in English definitely helps with a lot of like the politics stuff.
The second volume is coming out in April.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll plan for a Twipple Dip then.
That's all they have scheduled so far is the first two. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Is it complete now, Akasu, with the 21 volumes, or is it still ongoing?
It's complete after 21 volumes. That means they're going to cover all of the first series in 3 of these 3-volume omnibuses then. And I guess we'll see if hopefully they'll do Innocent Rouge. Hopefully. Okay, so we have finished our discussion on Innocent. We're at the end of this triple dip. It's time to do a quick little ranking for our final triple dip of 2023. Darfox, take it away. What is your ranking?
I actually didn't think about that until now. It's kind of hard. Surprisingly, I'll put Under Ninja in the bottom, even though you'd think it's up my alley. It was really unimpressive first volume, in my opinion, and yeah, I guess I'll do Orb in second place and first place Innocent, just because the craft in the other two really just put it over, and Innocent just looks bonkers how good it looks.
Well, I think you just gave the ranking for everybody else here.
Literally, yes.
Seamus, you agree?
I don't know what I even rank Ninja.
It doesn't even get third.
It's not even a Ganning. It's
A distant third.
this interred.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also feel like it's well. Because you said one of these things is not like the others.
That was Darfox.
Yeah, in terms of like subject matter, but also just like for me, like just like enjoyability, way out there.
Yeah, I just think I would still rank them in the same order, but I think I'm like more lenient with Under Ninja because I've seen more of it, so I know what he's trying to go for. And what he does later is better, but as far as these like first volume comparisons, this is definitely the order. Innocent, Orb, and then Under Ninja. Very nice. Our last triple dip of the year. Now Darfox, Seamus, and Morgana will have to turn and think about Manga Machination Awards. That's happening in 2 weeks. But yeah, let's go ahead and end this episode. It's been going far too long already. I want to thank Darfox, Morgana, and Seamus for joining me this week. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you find us. Reminder that next week we'll be looking at The Right Way to Make Jump by Takeshi Sakurai. It's available on the Shonen Jump app to read. Stay tuned for that. If you want to support Manga Machinations, buy us a coffee. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac and help support us so we can do a retrospective on Oak, the Inner Chambers next year. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Join our Discord server. Head over to discord.me/mangamac. We're still playing Mahjong every Monday. You can come join in on that, or you can just come talk to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we do live recordings and where Darfox will be putting up his thorough, in-depth discussion on The Boy and the Heron with Amber. YouTube.com/mangamactv. Send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at MangaMacPodcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. That is for our Twitter, our Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. And you can follow my personal Twitter at DocZoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. Follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. And follow Seamus at Seamus2389. I think that's also all our Blue Sky as well. So follow us there as well. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye.